paying attention. Good morning. It's October 11th, 2016. I will call the Wright County Board meeting to order. I will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the minutes of October 4th, 2016.
Mr. Chair, I'll move the minutes.
I'll second those.
Motion by Commissioner Hewsom, second by Commissioner Potter. Any further discussion? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. The agenda. Anybody have anything to add or amend today?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion we approve the agenda.
Oh,
I'll second it.
Motion by Commissioner Burrell, second by Commissioner Delyden to approve the agenda. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. The consent agenda. Any items to remove for further discussion?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Delyden, second by Commissioner Potter. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Let's see, we're actually a couple minutes ahead of schedule, and Adam's not here, so why don't we move on down to items for consideration. A, committee minutes. Item 1, building committee. Is that going to be Mike or Mark? I can't remember. The building committee. Mike, can you take those, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The building committee met on September 28th. Members present Potter, Delyden, Kelly. Others present Wilczek, Goodrum Shorts, and Bill Stevens. First item up for discussion was the courtroom bench remodel designs. Wilczek presented information from Wold Architect and released the RFP drawings for the courtroom modifications. Pricing deadline was 9/30. Recommendations from Delyden and Potter was to review the pricing and move forward if it's within the initial estimated $40,000. The second item was modifications to the Human Service Center, Room 127. Wilczek provided an update on the east door of the Human Service Center building. It has been replaced, and the north door in the conference room has been installed. I went out and looked at both of them, and they look good. And it was completed by the 9/29, the day after we met. And Huffcore Unispan was scheduled to deliver the operable partition the week of 10/3. That was not in as of the last time I checked. When the product arrived, the schedule will coordinate with the appropriate parties to not interfere with their operations. There's no recommendation, it's just an update on that one. The third item was the Public Works Deferred Maintenance and Remodel. And Wilczek provided updates on the status of the architect work, consultant work, and the shop area modifications. The architect's construction drawings were anticipated to be delivered again 2 days after our meeting, and the roof and window design replacement was underway. Project will be bid and inspected when specs are completed. As per the previous meeting recommendations, a mezzanine beam and assorted hardware have been ordered, and the overhead doors are in the process of being installed, and the one overhead door is installed, the one out in the shop area.
And the one in between.
Yeah, and that one did look good. The overhead door, I looked at that. Opening in the wood shop, the welding door, that one's been done too. It looks good. The opening west wall service bay will be later in the week, but that was done already. By the time I went and looked at it, Wilczek stated price for east and west spray foam installation was received in the amount of $5,615 as per the inspect specifications. There's also need a bit of ceiling removal and patch at the vestibule to allow access to the west wall for insulation work. It's one of those where there was a lack of insulation between the wall and the roof, so it was an issue. Recommendation was to, from Potter and Delyden, was to continue and move forward with the windows and roof, also to complete the spray foam insulation as previously stated cost. The recommendation move forward with the electrical work to the mezzanine room with the exception of the overhead door wiring and the light fixtures changes.
I think we do have an extra sentence and a half that got on the second page we didn't get. Is that right, Lee?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I noticed in the packet, the second page of the building committee minutes did not make it. It was very short. That was just a quick update on the compost facility storm damage repair. Just the sentence I'll read, Wheelcheck provided a copy of the proposal from Marcus Construction for the removal of the damaged structure at the compost facility.
That's this one?
Correct, that is included in the packet. Unfortunately, the second page of the minutes didn't make it. There's no recommendation on this item because, as you know, we had that committee of the whole already scheduled to discuss our future action on that. So just wanted to make sure that the board was aware that that was part of the minutes, but did not make it in the packet, unfortunately.
So with that, Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes and the recommendations that were made.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Potter, second by Commissioner Delyden to approve the minutes and recommendations. Any further discussion?
At the committee meeting tomorrow, we should have more information on the Public Works
Okay,
Gotcha.
drawings and everything.
okay. Anything else? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Adam Tagaro, IT Director. Good morning, Adam.
Mr. Chair, good morning, Commissioners. This morning, I'd like to introduce Charles DeLong to you. He is our new tech support specialist. Recently was tech support specialist for a disaster services company. Go ahead, Charles.
Morning.
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 Prior to being here, I was a tech support rep at, like you said, a disaster restoration company. I also did a little bit of marketing and things like that over there, too. I'm glad to be here, excited for the opportunity, excited to dig in and learn some new things.
Well, welcome to working for the Wright
Yeah.
County. Do you live in the Wright County?
I don't, as of right now, no.
There's an opportunity for you. There's houses for sale.
Mike's got one for sale, too.
Happy to have you aboard.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Happy.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Yep, thanks, Adam.
Thanks.
Next at 9:07 is Bob Hevel. It looks like Tammy's going to take his place today.
Not really feeling very well today, so,
I do have the claims up here for you once you can
Perfect.
grab those once you're done.
thank you. Good morning, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. The only thing that we have is to approve the City of Monticello tax forfeit land resolution. The City of Monticello is taking over some property for some public purposes. Brian probably can explain some if you have any questions.
Yeah, we've got some stuff here in the packet.
Good
I
morning.
had the
It's a
resolution.
resolution.
I brought along aerial photos. Actually, okay. Tammy and I duplicated each other's efforts, I think, here, it looks like. This is a fairly routine request from the city of Monticello. Normally, these would, I think, end up in the hands of the city once the development is developed as such. This one is, the first one is, that's listed as Carlisle Village, I believe. So it's south of CASA 18, I think it is.
Southeast side of the city.
Yep, and it's all wetlands. In fact, the parcel just to the west of it is also owned by the city of Monticello. So they're asking, or they're requesting conveyance of that one. The second one is on the other side of the freeway. This is Sunset Ponds. Again, it's a huge stormwater holding pond, and it's the area outlined in blue. The last parcel is also Sunset Ponds. It's kind of on the eastern edge of that development, and it's a kind of a grassy area, but it does also serve as stormwater holding. And so the city of Monticello will be paying the normal recording fees, and I think there's a conditional use state deed fee that they have to pay as well.
Okay, any questions for Brian or Tammy?
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution for the 3 parcels for Monticello for stormwater and maintenance purposes.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Delyden, second by Commissioner Potter on the resolution. Any further discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chair. I want to thank Brian and Gabby with Bob's office for going through and cleaning up a bunch of these little pieces that are out there. No sense having them on the board, get them back where they belong. And this 3 less parcels now we have to deal with later. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Roll call vote, Commissioner Hewsome?
Aye.
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 Aye. Resolution carries unanimous.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Brings us down to back to items for consideration, it looks like. Committee of the Whole.
The building was damaged and the TA engineering representative came through to assess the damage, found the wall panels, girts, purlins around the tipping floor were corroded to the point of saving, basically. There's no safe recommendations regarding repairing the building. The roof and wall panels around the tipping floor are not safe. The northeast column has been buckled, which impairs the integrity of the whole building there. Something needs to be done before the heavy snow, before we get a snow load on it, to prevent a likely collapse of the roof. The county's insurance provider, Minnesota County's Insurance Trust, investigated the site and came back with $57,300 for storm damage to the panels blew in. That amount will increase to $117,800 if the repairs are done. Part of the facility was destroyed due to the storm. The rest needs to be repaired or demolished to be safe. Ensuing discussions regarding the cause of the corrosion and all that, and possible ways to repair the building. The tipping floor is not safe because of the corrosion on the wall, so we need to get past that one. The environmental health supervisor, Bill Stevens, said curbside recycle is most effective for the unavailability of space. For a little bit of additional information is when the cardboard and the papers are baled and all that, that's the staging area for when the truck comes and hauls it away. The beauty of it is when you had a big enough load, the trailer would come in that time. Otherwise, if you do smaller ones, you have to be subject when they rove around and fit it in the truck. So it's that they can come in with some of that stuff there. By not allowing the full loads, like the economies of scale comes in. And Stevens went on to say the compost facility receives about 5% of the total tonnage of recycling in the county, and the majority of that recycling is done through the cities and townships. Not all have curbside pickup, but at least offer a drop-off site. I think, Charlie, you have a couple of them that did that a couple times a month. And they say the compost facility provides the service and they try to recoup the cost when they can. Discussions move forward. The Marcus construction proposal, and Swatsky agreed the compost facility provides a valuable service, which it does. A lot of people, the testament to how many people are out there using it. But it's not worth reconstructing costs just to keep that one up. Wilczek said her engineering report from TKDA indicated some components could be saved, but Marcus said it would be not economically feasible to do it. Swatsky asked whether it was less expensive options out there, such as removing the damaged part and reconstructing a smaller building recycled drop-off area. And that's a continuing discussion on how to do that, and we'll be discussing that tomorrow in Building Committee again. A little bit of it, but the ultimate decision on what to do with that will be a Committee of the Whole decision. Discussion continued regarding the type of material used for reconstruction, type of building size, conveyors. The recommendation from Wilczek is that no one use the building while it's left standing in the current state as it's unsafe. Dave Bryant made a comment he would be cheaper to demolish the building this fall before said snow loads come up, and that's kind of the consensus of the board. Do something quickly here. So the recommendations at the October 11th County Board meeting is authorize the advertisement for bids to dismantle that compost facility and contact several firms regarding proposals for reconstruction options. And with that, Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes and the recommendations that were cited at the end there.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Potter, second by Commissioner Houston. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
just a clarification regarding the first recommendation. As we left the meeting that day, administration kind of got the impression that you were looking to do sealed bids for demolition. We're not required to because we believe this will be well under $100,000. We are allowed by statute to get several bids and then direct negotiate. So just clarification, do we need to set a formal sealed bid date or should we just pursue various firms?
Sealed bids.
Yeah.
Well, the only thing I just think there's a little bit more on boardness if all the bids get open at the same time instead of calling one person and that person saying, I'll do it for $63,000. Then you call someone else and they say, I'll do it for $55,000. I think sometimes you have a concern from bidders that, in that sort of a process, what if my number got out? And if you just open up, and I don't necessarily feel like we have to go through 2 weeks of formal advertising and all that if it's not required, but I wouldn't mind telling people, hey, you send us a letter or whatever with your bid in it, and we're going to all open them all up at the same time. That way everybody's that's just my thought on it.
Sure.
I mean, if everybody else feels differently, I'm okay with calling people up and getting quotes, but
Well, I would think if we put it on the website and then also do some calling.
yeah, do some calling and just,
And then have it on the website for people to give us pricing. I mean, if you're gonna go for sealed bids, then you almost have to go through the process. But, you know, nothing says they can't send you, we're asking for quotes, nothing says they can't send you something.
yeah, we'll send you something,
That's
just open them
why.
all up at the same time, is all. I mean, I think we've done that before, and does that make sense, Al, that people would send you something and you open them at the same time, but not necessarily the formal bidding process, or do you not like that idea?
No, I think that's fine, that's the way I would do it, is I would set the, Morning, yeah, that's the way I would do it, is I would set a bid deadline for whatever day, whether we open it here and go through the formal process, that puts a couple timelines, I think, into advertisement dates that are required to do that for posting. But my typical process would be to put in a deadline date for whatever day, and then we'd have them all together. It wouldn't be get one bid, you know, kind of that process you're talking about. I don't like that either. They'd all be due it the same day. We'd have a bid walkthrough. It just wouldn't be formally opened here. If you'd like to, that'd be fine. But I think if we go through that process, there's like a 10-day posting, I believe is what the requirement is on that.
I don't feel like they have to be opened here necessarily, just as long as they're open somewhere at the same time.
Oh, absolutely. Yep,
You
that
know.
would be typical on how I'd do an RFP.
Mr. Chair.
It's just
Alan, the thing about doing the demolition out here, the roof joins in with the roof that we're going to be keeping. We need to have some type of a specification so that that's not damaged, so that, you know, are we gonna have the person doing the demolition finish off that edge of the roof as well? I mean, that might not be their forte.
Yeah, it would be wrapped into the same project, so a contractor would have to partner with a roofer. Same thing with the
Okay,
sheet
all
metal
right.
where that west wall adjoins the
And you'll
perimeter
have
sheets.
some general specs then to do that.
Right, it'd be, like I said, on the north and south of the building, they have to also flash that in and seal that opening where the sheet metal goods on the outside match the concrete too.
And then I'm not gonna be at the building committee, but I'd just like to throw out an idea. The building that's out there now is it a 6 or an 8-foot cement hip wall?
8 foot.
8 foot?
Yep.
Okay. And if we came up, the building committee can come up with a wall height that they need. We do not need 40 feet or whatever it was before, but let's just say they come up and you can come up with some general specs for that, for rebuilding that portion of it with a post frame thing right on top of that hip wall. And then either tying into the roof or having, I would think it would be a lower roof, you know, it would make sense to come in. And then say how big of a door you want on, how you want the door to open, whether it's overhead, drop some general specs like that, and then do it in two things, because it's a very large area right now. We may not need that. We may cut it in half and put a wall dividing it in half, and then just put that out to bidders to bid it two different ways. So once with the entire building and one half, and
Well, right now, the key is getting the building
Yeah.
off. We can
Right.
deal with that next year, you know,
Okay.
we're running out of
Yeah.
time for
Right.
that.
Okay.
The key is to get it
well,
down so that we don't have any,
Right.
the only thing is, I guess if you guys act on this tomorrow and kind of get it going, there's no reason that there might be some builder that says, you know what, I can do it this fall and have it all done. Then you don't have to worry about, there's a conveyor shaft that goes down into a lower floor where snow and water would melt and run in. If they were able to do it yet this fall, it would bypass that concern, I guess, so.
I do have that conveyor in the RFP as an alternate to remove that and
Okay.
cap the opening. There's a pit down there for the equipment, so they would, on each side of the conveyor, there's a concrete structure that they encapsulate and make that watertight.
It
so.
sounds like you've thought it through good. I'm fine, thank you.
But
Thank
I
you,
did,
Mr.
just one side note on the building, I did meet with a builder yesterday on the site, and the widest it can span without doing the wall in the middle or supports with the laminated beam is 100 feet. So it's 125 feet wide, so we would do some posts in the middle to utilize
Yeah.
the structure.
Which
so.
which wouldn't affect our functionality anymore at all, so.
Yeah, I'm thinking too, what about the possibility of some sort of if the new facility went off the off the old roof, and that, you know what I mean? It was like a lean-to, so to speak, almost. I don't know if that'd be
Oh, yeah.
possible or not, but
It's probably, yeah.
It'd be really similar, just that the roof lines wouldn't meet, so the roof of the new building
Would
would
come
meet
into
up
the
with the
wall.
concrete wall, and they would just be a flashed-in sealed joint there, so.
That's
There'll be a big snow load on that side, so it'll have to be designed properly because of the different elevation change, but it's certainly doable.
Now, the other thing we could do too is have these bids opened up at the building committee. Choose like a Wednesday at 10:15 or something and do it at a building committee, but it don't matter to me. You can do them in your office for that matter also. It might not be a bad idea to have a second person up there just so nobody ever says there's games being played, you know?
Sure.
I think the idea is to not only that transparency, but also have local contractors have a chance to bid at this.
Right.
You know, when you're walking through out there, you may find somebody that'll say, well, we can just leave that existing roof, bend it down, re-support it. So, you know, when you have your walkthrough out there,
Get some ideas.
yeah, open it up for, you know, there's people smarter than us on building stuff out there.
Yeah, that's.
A lot smarter than Charlie, so it shouldn't be a problem.
And I don't know, what would the life expectancy of a roof like that be? Typically like 50 years or?
On the one that's existing roof?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't know about 50, probably more like a 30-ish kind of range, I would guess.
I mean, it's already
but-
25 years old, just almost.
Then it's time to take it down. Be done with it.
If it's only good for 30 and it's 25, we don't want to fiddle with it if it's.
No.
Well, and the purlins on the roof were bad as well, so that would just be almost cost prohibitive. No volume.
Okay, so I guess, are you understanding of what's expected then?
Yep, I believe so. I will set the deadline and we'll open them, I think at a building committee meeting makes sense. I'll take a look at the timeline and where that falls here in 2 weeks, and I think that probably is okay. I'll have to look at the calendar, but we'll get that through and meet next week on a walkthrough, hopefully next week, and then be probably 10 days for them to put together the bid, since there's some multiple subs that'll be involved in closing the duct work, the electrical work, the conveyors, the roof line, some of that stuff, so.
And all the steel I-beams and sheet metal, that's all the responsibility and ownership of the demo person then?
Absolutely.
And I would presume that would be overhead doors and service doors as well. Everything that's going to stay up is those concrete walls. that are there.
Yep, correct. The
Our
service
understanding
doors
is the
are
chair.
generally in pretty good condition, so we'll take a look at potentially even the service doors or
Just
be
leave them there for the time being.
in there,
in case
because we could reuse
okay.
them with the new building. The overhead doors need to go.
Well, they'd have to go anyhow. My guess is for them just to take the project down because they're going to want them out of the way so they can probably get better access. Because if we're going to keep up that concrete wall all the way around there for the time being, they're going to have to get in and out of there to some
I
extent.
mean, they're right next to the overhead doors, so we'll look at that.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Technology Committee, Commissioner Delyden, please.
Technology Committee met on September 28th. Members present were Delyden, Hibala, Goodwin, Schwartz, Kelly, Partlow, and Potter was pitch hitting for Commissioner Burrell because he was at another meeting. Others present were Cooper, Nelson, Alinsky, and Virgin. There was a number of items discussed. Open Gov. On the 27th of September, Hivila signed a contract with OpenGov, and that is a cloud-based financial reporting system that will be used in the auditor's treasury department, but also used in other parts of the county. It's designed to make life simpler and easier to drill down for the public and for our department heads to be able to look at budgets and that sort of stuff. No action, just information. Wright Fax was presented by Connie Mae Cooper. The rollout of the Wright Fax is 99% complete. DMV is pending installation due to their requirement to batch send things to the state. An add-on module is required so that the Wright Fax can handle the volume. And the administration department was the last department to cut over since they have a POTS line, which is an old-fashioned telephone line that nobody really realized that they had. So they had to change that thing around. Again, just information only. The IT sand purchase, and that was presented by Brian Malinsky. IT had evaluated the existing storage area network, which is called SANS. The device stores data from other devices, and they will be switching to a new vendor with more current technology. Our existing system is at end of life. Currently, there are 5 data centers in the buildings, in 5 different buildings, and they're only accessible to the local servers. In the future, Wright County will only have 2 data centers to provide some more disaster recovery with the data center SAN accessible by all locations. Phase 1, the network infrastructure will need to be able to handle added traffic, which IT recently upgraded the network to handle that added traffic. Phase 2 is a more flexible and robust storage structure. The process for selecting the SAN was to create a list of features, research, create vendor lists, and receive quotes from each vendor. After that step was completed, the vendor would be best meet our needs was selected. That vendor is NetApp, and future phases will be server standardization and software-defined network. Total cost of the project will be $92,376.34. Currently, there is $72,000 in the CIP network storage funds. There is $8,156.34 remaining from 2015-2016 CIP wireless project, and approximately $12,000 to be taken from the 2017 IT budget. The total cost includes 5 years of 60 months of vendor support. We're not quite sure what the support will cost after the 5 years. A purchase requisition should be created by the end of September with the project completion date by January. The recommendation was to move forward with that one. Items 4 and 5, the CIP projects request and the project's prioritization was laid over to the next technology committee meeting due to time constraints, and Adam also not being there that day because he was pretending he was sick, I guess. And now make the motion to approve the minutes as stated.
Second. Motion by Commissioner Lyden, second by Commissioner Burrell. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Discuss 10/26/16 committee meeting schedule.
Yes, Mr. Chair, an FYI, or perhaps to take action, we do have negotiations with 2 of the unions scheduled for the morning of the 26th. So just throwing out the idea, we could either potentially move some committees or ensure that the alternates would be able to cover the committees that will be meeting that morning. I know for sure we will have a personnel committee that morning and technology as a standing meeting at 11. So I guess it's up to the board. I just wanted to make sure you were aware before the date was upon us and seek some direction.
Busy day.
It is.
Mr. Chair, I'd propose moving committee to Tuesday, the 25th at 10:30, or if we need to, 11,
After the board.
after our board meeting.
Okay.
I would say 10:30 because it can always be a little later if it needs to, but at least I would move personnel committee if we want to do technology committee at the same time, depending on,
Do you know what the personnel
Availability.
committee schedule is right now, Lee?
I know there was an item this
Yeah.
morning referred relative to PTO discussion. I'm trying to think of other items right now.
we may have a review.
Yes, we do have a personnel review.
We have a department.
So that meeting's at least an hour in length.
It'd be an
At least
hour.
an hour in length, I would say. How does the 25th sound to you, Lee?
It would work for me.
Okay.
I haven't discussed with all the other folks that might be impacted, but I think they could probably make time.
You'd probably maybe have to do one of them in the late morning and one in the early afternoon. You're okay? That sound okay?
That would work for me.
Everybody else okay with that?
Yeah. Commissioner Delight, 1 o'clock for building committee, if that's the way it goes.
Or it sounds like maybe
Technology.
technology committee would be the one.
Yeah.
But potentially building committee too, I suppose, if,
Depends how long personnel takes.
you might have a 1 o'clock and a 2 o'clock with
Yeah,
technology and
that's no
building.
problem.
Okay, someone want to move to change the committee day from the 26th to the 25th?
I will move that.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hewsome, second by Commissioner Delyden, to move committee day from October 26th to October 25th. Any further discussion?
And 10:30 would be the start time.
Sure.
Okay.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oh, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Schedule Personnel Committee of the Whole to discuss elected department heads' salaries. Lee, you thinking of, I know it's, we got it on here with plenty of time, but do you think maybe like late November, early December is better, just so we kind of get a feel for how some other things are going prior to this meeting?
Yeah.
What you thinking?
I think that would be good. I want to make sure we got it on the agenda, as we do have to do it by the end of the year. Certainly, we could look later into November.
Like the 29th of November, maybe, at 10:30?
That could work.
How do people feel about that?
And we have truth and taxation that night.
At 6, yeah.
Correct.
So after the board meeting on the 29th?
Yeah. We don't have a board meeting on the 6th, otherwise the 13th of December. And I'm not sure, maybe, and maybe that's even better, just because it'll give us a better feel where things are going with the, you know what I mean? Because there is some relationship there, and we don't want to,
You're thinking the 13th?
maybe the 13th of December is better yet. It still gives us
10:30 and 13.
I'd be in favor of that.
the 13th at 10:30, okay. Lee, any problem with that?
I think that'll work.
Okay. Is there a motion to set the 13th at 10:30 a.m. for Personnel Committee of the Whole?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Potter, second by Delight. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Pose same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Transfer of nuclear duties. Lee.
Yes, Mr. Chair, as you are aware, Lynette Filiucci, our Vet Services Nuclear Director, has submitted a resignation. And as part of budget discussions, we had discussed about the possibility in 2017 separating out the nuclear duties, moving them over to the emergency management area of the Sheriff's Office. That was, as I mentioned, planned for 2017. I'm bringing this before you today just to discuss kind of the consensus I've got talking with some staff is that we think it might be wise to move that timeline ahead a little bit. We had also proposed as 2017 to hire a deputy emergency management director to assist in that transfer of duties. So I'm wondering if that would be palatable to the board, or if you would like to have more discussion on that relative to the positions.
Folks?
Well, we're certainly closing in on the end of the year, so I personally would be in favor of moving ahead so the person would be in position by the first of the year instead of waiting until after the first two. We're going into a drill year, so that
Yeah.
they need to be up. They need to be up
I think
into a
it'll also,
well-trained position.
I think it'll also give us more people for veterans to apply
Definitely,
that don't want to deal with the nuclear duties.
yeah. I believe that's true.
It seems to me if we're gonna make the transfer, we probably just ought to do it now, because vets is short-staffed with, as of today.
Right.
And you're right, because there is a drill next year, there's probably some things that are just kind of maybe starting to get kind of rolling relative to some preparation for that. I suspect it's pretty minuscule at this amount, but even still, it would make more sense that the person that's going to be dealing with them next year just start dealing with them now and.
Well, to start getting, just what the whole job is, and certainly if that person is going to be mostly responsible for the nuclear part, there's a lot. I mean, we looked at the hours that they spend, and it's pretty significant.
Okay, so are you looking for an official motion here, Lee?
I would appreciate it, both the official transfer of the duties, but then also if the board is interested in beginning the recruitment process for that deputy emergency management director.
Do you have I'm trying to remember, you do have an actual job description all created with points and all that, right?
Correct, yep.
We talked about that here a month or so ago, okay? Okay, so I guess if someone makes a motion, and if they want to include that component of it, or,
I'll make a motion to transfer nuclear duties out to the sheriff's office and to post for the deputy director.
I will second that.
okay. Motion by Delight, second by Houston. Sunny, you're in the room here. Everything's prepared to go with that position? Okay. Any further, just for, probably like sometime in December, I suppose the person would come on board if the timetable worked out, so.
Yeah, I mean, if it all.
Everything went well.
When we get good applicants, we'll, get somebody.
Yeah. Can we not, if we don't get somebody by like maybe mid to early December, let's just make sure we don't hire someone like the 21st of December, so we end up having to pay for all these vacation days and whatnot over the next, week or two. Let's just wait and get them on board January 3rd then, or January 2nd. I'm not sure. I think it's maybe the 2nd's the Monday.
Yeah, second.
Get them on January 2nd if we can't get them on early, early to,
That brings up another point. Will the courthouse be closed on January 2nd, since the 1st is Sunday?
Monday.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, January 3rd then would be the, probably the ideal start date, unless you can actually get them far enough ahead that it actually pays. And at this point, that's maybe not possible, but I guess figure that one out. But I know I just don't like hiring people 3 days before Christmas and ending up having to, and you know what I mean, just everything's kind of in chaos anyhow because of the holiday season
yeah.
and whatnot. And
Yeah, there's a lot of end of year wrap-ups going on.
And have we heard anything from the state veterans?
Yes, we've been in contact with them. Actually, Sunny and I have a meeting set up with Jim Miller from the Department of Veterans Affairs for tomorrow. So we have one individual that's been working out of the Monticello Workforce Center, meeting with veterans. They're going to also be sending another person a couple days a week, is what it sounds like now, to Buffalo here. So
Good.
Oh, good. So hopefully we can get some of that stuff, those files cleaned up and emptied out and get them organized. Good. Good to hear.
when is the deadline for the vet services applicants?
I am not sure.
Okay, but it's been put out with a deadline on it? I mean, it's already out there or not?
I was out the latter part of last week. I don't recall if it's been formally posted or if Lee and I have to, supplement request. I'll have to look at. But we'll get, if it's not posted yet, it'll go out today or tomorrow. And then we will do it. We'll start with the big windows. We don't get a lot of response.
Okay. Okay, any further discussion?
Mr. Chair, I'm going to be voting against this. I've talked against it all along. I think we're rocking the boat when we didn't need to, but I've lost the argument. I realize that, but I'm still not as supportive of it.
Laney Allison, that's the mud you were looking for?
And you just don't support separating their duties, right?
Right. I just think there's a symbiotic relationship there that I think that each can draw on, when we have the emergency services with a military background. I just think there's a benefit to that. And the other thing is, we've scored outstanding on these drills, and I'm like, why change it now when we're doing great? So that's.
Well, it's based off of who we have there. Maybe this is the division that North Wright County today was talking about?
This could be.
They didn't talk to me.
I guess
Just some questions that they had.
Oh, for the candidate forum?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was there a recent candidate forum?
Yeah, they just sent an email
Oh,
out.
okay.
No, they were asking about division on the board.
Oh.
I don't know of any division, other than we just figured it was you and you're leaving, so we
Well-
figured it was no big deal.
We're not supposed to vote 5-0 on everything, are we?
I didn't
I think we
so.
could just have one commissioner then, and we wouldn't need 5 commissioners if it would be 5-0 on everything.
It offers up good discussion when you.
It does.
I just wanted to explain my vote.
Charlie, I think you got some reasonable arguing room there. It's one of those things, there's two sides of the discussion. For a long time, I agreed with it, and I've just kind of, I'm not going to argue against your rationale, but I am going to vote the other way, but I think you got some reasonable rationale. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Motion carries 4-1. Advisory Committee, Advisory Board updates, Commissioner Burrell.
The only thing that I had, and Susan, maybe we can, the Central Minnesota Council on Aging has moved from the city offices in St. Cloud to Sartell. I'll get you the new address. You'll need that. And I never thought this happened anymore, and yet don't hear about it, but we had a grantee, I'll just hold off the name, but that was getting money from Central Minnesota Council on Aging that was just totally mismanaging the money. We did an audit of them. They weren't paying their workers. The administrators were getting paid just perfectly, and the board was aware of it. And Lori Volson, our executive director, talked to them, and they all knew, yeah, we shouldn't be doing that, but it was just. So anyway, they got defunded. We voted to defund them
goodness.
last week, and I just, it blew me away that you actually have an organization that was so mismanaged and kept on going, so anyway. What was that?
I don't have anything right now.
Oh, let's see, I don't have a lot to report on, but we did have a Bertram advisory meeting last Friday, and it was relatively short meeting, but a couple of things of note. Some of the things we were waiting to do out there until after the YMCA campground closed for the summer, so we didn't have heavy equipment around little kids, and not just the YMCA campground, but of course just the heavy use of school children and families and that sort of thing during summer months. So some of those activities have picked up now relative to the road construction, and the old, we referred to as the chalet. I think most of you are probably familiar with what that kind of building was, and that's been removed down to the foundation, and now the reconstruction of that is occurring. So, and we were advised by Mark Mattice that he thought sometime in November would be the closing of that last parcels of property then relative to the facility, and that includes the 41 acres that we talked about that are purchased with the city, and then that 3-acre little triangle piece from the person across the road that we had talked about maybe back in about May. That's taken a little longer than expected, but those, he's got it set up now where they'll both close on the same day, just to kind of for a little economy of scale for closing fees and that sort of thing. So that will happen sometime in mid to late November. And I'm not sure if there's going to be any sort of event kind of recognizing the completion of the acquisition or not. But don't be surprised if something like that, you don't hear about something like that in maybe December or something to kind of recognize that, hey, it's.
If the new chalet is done.
Well, particularly if the chalet is done, that'd probably be a good place to
Yep.
have it, and
Good open house area.
so, kind of the acquisition would be behind us, and then it's just kind of the future, and, there's a lot of ideas of what can happen. We've got a great master plan. Timetable is really up in the air for future councils and county boards, probably more county boards, so to speak, because at least for the component on the county side, of course, the city has their athletic field side where they'll more dictate there, but I guess there's hundreds and hundreds of years into the future to make it become a reality, what it could become. So some of it will happen sooner, others will happen later. But again, that's all I have to report from that committee.
That's good. I'm happy to see the finality of the acquisition phase of this, so you can get to the other part of it. That's good. Thanks, Mr. Chair.
And just a side note here, since there's law enforcement in the room, it made me think of Joe Hagerty, but apparently just recently Joe took a tour, and I'm not sure if that was in part because law enforcement certainly has involvement with all of our parks and kind of doing some enforcement and whatnot, but I had gotten a text from Joe about how impressed he was with what is there and what will be there into the future. So that was kind of nice to see too. And like I say, law enforcement does our park patrols, so they certainly are a partner in the process.
So anybody's interested, in Mark Batice's office, he does have a master plan with the layout, which pretty descriptive, informative for anybody to want to see it.
I don't think he has the one that shows the city's side of the, does he?
Oh, yeah, he would have both. He would have all of it. But there was a huge cross-country event out there. I can't remember if they said there was like 900 runners or something like that took place out there just a month or so ago. And it sounds like Monticello School kind of wants to make that their home turf now when they have an event. They used to have it at
Golf course.
at the golf course, and it kind of created a significant traffic and parking issue because everybody was parked along both sides of Highway 39, and there was always this concern about the visibility with these vehicles and people running across it and whatnot. And so, and in fact, I think Mark did comment that he got a message from probably Sheriff Hagerty, unless it was someone else in law enforcement, saying, thank you for moving that event. It was so nice for us not to have our law enforcement people out there all day keeping an eye on traffic and making sure nobody got hurt. So that was kind of nice.
Much safer, I'm sure.
It'll make for a nice adventure, too. Thanks, Mr. Chair. Last Thursday, I attended a public hearing for MnDOT in regards to Minnesota Go, which is their transit priorities for the next 5 years. It doesn't include trains, but it includes all other parts of transit. I was the only one there in St. Cloud. There was only a couple people in St. Paul. It was simulcast there. There's still a comment period left to be open on that. I don't think there's anything earth-shattering or any revelations coming out of that one that's going to be any different than what's there.
Is there anything that this board should, is there anything this board should send a resolution on or to the state on a comment?
I've talked to Virgil on that, and I talked to Steve Bott, the chair of the I-94 Coalition. There's really nothing on that particular issue that we're worried about because they're aware of our situation there with the 2594 and all those coalitions. They're aware of those ones. The one that is going to be more the here and now for us is what's called the Transportation Alternatives Grant application, which is due by next, with the 14th, I believe. And Virgil and Adam Nafstead from Alville are going to put together a application for a pedestrian bridge over the freeway at County Road 37, which is an issue.
Yep.
There's $3.5 million available in our district for that, and this has a very good likelihood of getting funded because of the necessity and the fact that MnDOT does not want to widen the bridge at 37 to accommodate turn lanes and pedestrian traffic. And that'll be down there, and that's in St. Cloud tomorrow afternoon. That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
All right. I attended the first Buffalo Safe School meeting last Wednesday, and the high school, and the primary schools have switched start times, so the high school kids are starting at 8:50 now. Do you like that better? Yeah. We have a couple of high school kids in the room, excuse me. Also, it's working out very well for the elementary school kids too, so they start earlier, and the with the studies and things of how kids' brains work, and they really are more awake. The teachers have noticed that the students are more alert for the first hour than they used to be.
You're talking about the teenage kids, the high school kids?
The high school kids, yep.
So they're more awake now when they
They're
get
more
to
awake
sleep
now
an
when they
extra
get to
hour?
school, yep.
Is it the
They do.
caribou factor?
Yeah, maybe they have time to stop at caribou first.
Teachers are probably more alert too.
Yeah, the teachers probably are, for sure. And the Wright Learning Center is, they've got 30 companies that are working with the youth apprenticeship at the school. They're going to have an open house on October 17th. They'll have 60 post-secondary businesses, and the military will be there to give some opportunities to kids. They also, we talked about the old Annandale Intensive Residential Treatment Center that Central Minnesota Mental Health closed, but now it's going to be with, open up for girls with problems, so that'll be a positive thing. Just a couple of things that are coming up. Partnership for Youth and Families is having this Raising Kids to Make Smart Choices, What's New with Drug Awareness, and that's going to be at Buffalo Hospital on October 18th from 6:30 to 8 o'clock, so if anyone's interested in that. There's also a Coping with the Teenage Years, and that will be November 8th at the Wright County Human Service Building, and that will be from 11:30 to 1 p.m. on November 8th.
Captain might be interested in that one.
Also, a couple other things that are coming up. We've heard a lot about the Bounce Back project for Buffalo and Monticello, and they're going to have the Peabody Players, which is a comedy team. They'll be there on Friday, October 28th at 8 o'clock at Bison Creek Bar and Grill. And tickets, advance tickets are $12, and tickets at the door are $15. And then the last thing is the Daring Way, the 7-week Daring Way group. This is also with the Bounce Back initiative. And they will be having these seminars Wednesdays, October 26th through December 14th. So this is based on the Daring Way Benny Brown book. So if anyone's interested in that, you can check with the Bounce Back Project on their website. And that is all I have, Mr. Chair.
Captain O'Malley, you have a couple young guests. Did either of them have
Yeah.
questions or comments for us? Okay.
The
You-
caribou effect hasn't taken over yet?
You're welcome to come up here so we can embarrass you in person if you'd like. And get you on camera, you know, and
They're,
all your friends would be able to see you on.
Post it on YouTube.
are you saying they're writers, not speakers?
But
Very
writers
well.
have to become speakers eventually too, so.
Well, thank you for your attendance.
Thank you.
It was nice to have you here.
There being no further business, we are adjourned at 9:54 a.m.